So now I want you to go over to the drawing view here. The drawing view cuts the nonsense and gives you just what you're working on. So you can see on my rough layer here, I can't see what's underneath until I turn on the light table, which is this light bulb button here. If you can't see that, again, right click and drawing view will bring up these toolbars. And now I can see the drawing underneath, as long as it's viewable, of course. And what I'm going to do on frame 7, I think it is, the first keyframe between the two that we've already roughed, is turn on onion skin keyframes and flipping keyframes. What this does now, if we turn the onion skin on, notice that it will show the onion skin of the two frames either side. You see what I mean? You can see those two pictures. So now we can start roughing just as we did before, but have a clear indication of what has and what is to come. Here we go. So to summarize, the X-Sheet view allows you to organize and label your drawings and frames to make it easier to look at and easier to manage. The easy flipping options and the onion skin options refine that even further. Typically when you're just scrubbing through frames, it will move one unit at a time. When you're holding shift and you move between frames, it'll move between chunks of drawing. Like if it's got an exposure of 5, it'll skip all of that and just go straight to the next drawing. And if you have keyframes, breakdowns and that assigned, you can refine that process even further. And the onion skin controllers I pointed out at the top of the window perform a similar function for the onion skin. So typically the onion skin will show what is either side of the frame you're working on no matter what, which when expanded out really far can just become a huge chaotic mess very, very quickly. But when you activate it to only onion skin the keyframes, for example, even if the next keyframe is 20 frames away and your bracket is only 1 frame out, it's still going to show what the next keyframe is. So it focuses your entire process into what you're currently working on. So hopefully you can see that what we've done in setting up all of these controllers isn't a necessary part of the process. And if your version of Toon Boom doesn't have it, you can live without it very comfortably and just skip pretty well the entire last episode and dive straight into just drawing. You know, what we're actually doing hasn't changed. But I did just want to point out some of the advantages that you can get in the higher end software, because if this is your style, if this is what you want to do, this kind of animating, it may just be worth the investment to you. Maybe. I'm not going to tell you what to do. But hopefully providing the scope has helped. If the X-Sheet and the flipping and onion skin controllers aren't available in your version, try and follow along from this point onwards as best you can. And let me know how it goes. I'm interested to know how easy in-betweening still is, because if it isn't that much of a headache, then, you know, you saw the amount of time that we spent setting it all up. You know, it may not actually save any time, it just makes it a bit easier. All right, some roughed keyframes. Oh, it's not looking too bad. So now, of course, the breakdown keys come next. So if I turn this switch on, now I get the few blank ones in between. Turn my onion skin back on, and let's get to work. And just a reminder that we are in the drawing view at this point. It's located at the top of the drawing area, and typically we've been in the camera view up until this point. And the drawing view isolates just your current layer. It gets rid of everything else, allowing you to focus on the task at hand. If you need to see the drawings underneath, which of course in this case is the rough layer, that's what the light table's for. But it will reveal all the other layers washed out, allowing what you're currently drawing on to be in more focus and not get completely lost in the chaos of all the other layers and all the other onion skins seeping in. And like the X-Sheet, the drawing view is not a compulsory part of the process. It's just one option, which you may like, maybe you won't. It's just my personal recommendation, but one of the great things about Toon Boom is there is no one way to work in it. I encourage you to experiment and see what makes you feel the most comfortable. That's sketching the keys and the breakdowns pretty well done. Things start to get a little bit more complicated from here, so next time I'll show off a cool trick that's fairly well hidden and often goes underused, but I think it's really handy. See you then.